Hi, my name is Kendall and I'm a master's student in the Fashion and Apparel Studies department at the University of Delaware. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about exploring the export performance of textiles and apparel, the Made in USA at a firm level analysis. First of all, Made in USA textile and apparel is booming. It's an extremely important industry in the US and has actually increased 20% in the last 10 years. A lot of the products made in the USA are actually made to be exported, and a huge majority, at 70% of textile and apparel exports made in the USA, are exported to other regions of the Western Hemisphere. When I was researching this topic, I found a few research gaps. The first being that most studies are conducted at a high level analysis. However, there are very few studies that drill down to a firm level or micro level. And the second is that there's very limited research exploring the actual export behavior of US textile and apparel manufacturers. So this led me to want to research what is the export behavior of US textile and apparel manufacturers. I found that there are many factors supporting Made in the USA textile and apparel exports, the first being low compliance risk. Because the US has such high standards for manufacturing, consumers actually prefer to shop US made products due to this, and also the fact that they can be happy with the fact that they are environmentally responsible and socially responsible. As well as there are many trade policies that support the exporting of these products, such as NAFTA and CAFTA to other regions of the Western Hemisphere. However, Made in USA textile and apparel exports actually do face a lot of challenges. The first being that labor in the US is very expensive, which makes the cost of these products kind of at a disadvantage because they're always going to cost more than being produced in another country. There are also many disadvantages in regional trade patterns, such as in the EU and Asia, where there is a lack of free trade agreements with these regions, as well as both tariff and non tariff high trade barriers. I wanted to look at the Made in USA database that the US Department of Commerce Office of Textiles and Apparel created. And this database is actually the only government-run firm-level data set that focuses on textiles and apparel at a comprehensive level, looking at production, imports and exports, and other essential information. So I have a couple of findings that I wanted to look at. The first is that textiles in the US are big exporters. 80% of textile firms from this database engage in exports. And you can see that this is almost the opposite for apparel firms. My second finding was that larger firms, which I classified as over 150 employees, are much more likely to engage in exports than smaller firms, just due to the resources that they might possess. However, many smaller firms actually do engage in exports, which I was kind of shocked to see. My third finding was that the Western Hemisphere is extremely important to the export market for all sectors of Made in USA textile and apparel products. You can see that nearly half of the exports are going to this region. Additionally, I found that actually across the board, many exporters are exporting to multiple markets. instead of just one. You can see that yarn companies in particular are exporting to at least three or more markets. And across the board, they are all exporting a majority to multiple markets. My fifth finding was the use of free trade agreements is extremely prevalent in all sectors. Especially, you can see that the yarn sector heavily uses free trade agreements, including NAFTA and CAFTA. And across the board, NAFTA is a very popular free trade agreement as well as CAFTA. Now that you've seen the findings of this, I want to talk a little bit about the implications of what we're seeing today. First, you can see that exporting is extremely important to the growth and success of made in USA textile and apparel products. Additionally, it's very important to encourage and support small and medium-sized US textile and apparel manufacturers to export. You saw that nearly 70% of smaller firms are actively exporting, and it's important to help these firms through free trade agreements and trade policies that might help them further explore exporting to even more regions. Additionally, you saw that many firms use free trade agreements to export. However, there are most of the free trade agreements tend to be concentrated on the Western Hemisphere. There's so much opportunity to implement new free trade agreements in other regions beyond the Western Hemisphere, such as Europe and Asia, where the US textile and apparel manufacturers have a lot of opportunity. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or Dr. Liu. Thank you.